Okay, this episode is inspired by something that just happened to me then. And I reckon in business, oh, look, I don't want to say this is my superpower. This is something that I actively have to do every day. You know, your friend that's like, I'm practicing patience, and they are the most non-patient person ever, but they are aware that they have a patience problem. For me, the thing that I needed to work on is I'm fucking bothered. I'm bothered by everything. I'm bothered by literally everything. I don't know if it's a Virgo thing, but I was like, I feel my aim in life should be to be unbothered. And the reason that I wanted to be unbothered is I would look at people and they would just be so happy all the time. And I'm like, I think you're happy because you're just generally unbothered by things. I also saw in entrepreneurship that the people that made something of themselves, that accomplished something great, they were just generally unbothered. Like their clients being a prick, unbothered. They had like a bad sales week, unbothered, right? And it's not to say that they don't care, but I think sometimes that when we get really bothered by things, we can start to make like really irrational decisions, or what happens is then like our emotions come in and they take over, and then they drive the car into the fucking wall, okay? AKA we fuck our business. So I just had an event just then, an online event. You know, I think this is my 7th one. I've been teaching it in person as well. And then this was, I think it was the 3rd time that I've done it online. And we had like 25 people registered, which I was like, oh, it's a bit on the low side, but you know, it is what it is. And guess what? No one turned up. No one turned up. I was sitting waiting. And, you know, normally we have some people come in early and no one's there early. And I'm like, that's fine. 10 o'clock rolls around, no one's there. 10:01, 10:02, 10:03, 10:04. And at 10:04, I felt myself panicking. And I felt myself being like going through like the stages of grief of, oh my God, am I terrible? Or, oh shit, like, did I do a bad job? All the stuff came up. And, you know, I'm in my co-working space. Everyone knew that I had an event this morning. People are walking past me because it's all windows. They're looking at me, smiling. And I feel like in that moment, I could have felt like a fucking loser. But instead, I was like an unbothered queen. How I got to that point, a couple of things, is I have a podcast episode on this actually. It's called Craft Your Spite Story. And something that really helps me in business is spite, and to do things out of spite. And, you know, this could be something where you just like basically tell yourself a story that gets you through. So for me, I was like, you know what? One day I'm going to be $10,000 an hour with a 2-year wait list, and people will be like, oh my God, I remember that time I registered for her workshop and she used to do incredible Q&As where she would answer anything and I didn't even turn up. And I was like, yeah, bitch, that's not going to happen unless you get on and you record this fucking workshop. So did I do the workshop even though no one was there? Yes. Did I record it? Yes. Did I do it even though I have this recorded, 4 times already, 3 times already? Yes, I still did it, because you just have to keep a commitment to yourself. Otherwise, you don't realize that this permeates everything else. And, you know, it's really interesting that I feel fine. Like, it's 11 o'clock now, so I'm recording this. I booked the meeting room. I was like, well, let me just do a podcast. You know, I feel actually fine. I feel unbothered. I will probably get to 2 o'clock and people will be like, how was your event? And I'll have to stop and think about, oh yeah, it was great. And then they'll be like, how many people turned up? And I'll be like, none. And it's so interesting that I think sometimes, you know, again, what fucks us is the emotions that we attach to things. It's like, you know, coming from like a health and fitness background, sometimes clients would come to me and their injury wouldn't actually be the problem. They would have these like really random like little coping mechanisms that their body would be doing. And it's like their neck actually wasn't the problem. It was their dicky shoulder that was protecting their neck. So we had to focus on the shoulder. So this is the same in business. And we want to make sure that our emotions don't take over and fuck our business and fuck our day. And the best way for us to do that is to be unbothered. You know, I feel that this is something where you'll hear people say about being unattached, like you need to be unattached. And I feel sometimes you could be like, I understand that in theory, but the practice of that just feels really overwhelming, and it can. So how can we do that? I think, you know, there are a couple of tips. I'm going to always give you like what I do and what I would tell my clients. And then it's up to you to kind of try things on, see if it fits you, you know, let it work within the stuff in your little business wardrobe. Give it a chance. Maybe you love it, maybe you don't. So the first thing is to go to both ends of the spectrum. So if we look at the workshop that no one turned up to, you know, what is the worst case scenario? What is the best case scenario? Like, how can we make it super negative, super positive? The negative is I'm terrible and I'm never going to feel an event again. And that people are going to realize that I'm a phony and that I'm terrible. It's so funny because I'm even saying this being like, well, I don't even know what to say because I just know that that's not true. Because I've done a lot of work on this. So for you, your negativity, you may be able to fill a fucking 30-page book with shit, okay? You're going to get to a point, though, listening to this podcast where you're going to be able to struggle to make a sentence. But then if we look on the other side, I was like, well, what's the positive? Great, you've got more time to record a podcast. You get to now practice different examples. You know, you normally give the same examples. Sometimes you get a little distracted if someone asks you a question. Let's actually see how quickly you can run through this. How quickly can you teach this workshop? So that if you have a really great opportunity and someone's like, we've got a 20-minute slot, what can be done in that time? Like, how can we kind of use this as a way to test? And then if someone wants to watch it or they can't, they don't have a lot of time, you now have this real quick thing that you can send to them, okay? So that's the first thing that I did. I kind of will look at both sides. I go super positive, super negative. And then from that, I kind of will end up somewhere in the middle. That's the first step. The second step or second thing that you can do is your spite story. So this is where you're like, you know what? One day I'm going to be incredible. People will look back. They're going to regret. Or, you know, one day they're going to be ready to work with me and I'm going to say that I've got a 2-year wait list and they're fine to wait because we both know that we're worth it. You know, there is going to be something that you can say to yourself that is going to just stand out and be like, yeah, that feels really good. And the whole thing is with this is not about to fuck the other person. It's not like, well, fuck them. You know, just forget about your customer for a second. This is about you. This is about you. This is about your state. This is about you feeling good. And the reason that this is important is it's like, I think sometimes when we go too customer focused, we can forget about ourselves. We are still important because we are the person that drives our business, that does everything in our business. And if we don't look after and nurture the entrepreneur, the business fucking dies. So this is right now about you and your state. So the best thing for you to do is to tell yourself something that makes you feel good. What we want is if we can imagine like a little emotion ladder where like happiness is up the top and feeling really sad and like depresto is like down the bottom. This is getting us up on the ladder, okay? It's getting us more energy. It's getting us in a better state. So have that spite thought. Have it. What is it? What is the story? You can make this really fucked up as well. Like no one has to hear this. You can message it to me. I'm not going to judge. But just make it and just think about it. Think about it right now. Think about something that feels good. Maybe like give yourself a minute or two and hopefully you should be feeling a bit more neutral, okay? What should happen is it's almost like water finding its own level. It's like we are just coming back into this beautiful leveled state where you then feel good. Okay, the third thing, it is easy to be unbothered when you know exactly where you're going. I saw something on TikTok the other day, which is I feel like TikTok is my new Wikipedia. Do you remember when like you would reference Wikipedia and your teacher would be like, not a credible source? Now that's my TikTok. And I saw something the other day and someone said that, you know, roadblocks in the path are not roadblocks, they are the path. It was something like that. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. You know, I have been really guilty at times of feeling like that things are working against me. Like I've had this week the worst allergies, like the worst. I still don't sound 100%. My nose has just been bleeding this morning. I have to get better because I have surgery next week. There's just so much happening. And I think sometimes, you know, I've been really guilty of getting annoyed because I'm like, oh, you know, this is affecting business or this is affecting my path or this is affecting whatever. But it's like, but this is my path. You know, I think a lot of us just expect this perfect run. But the cool thing is that especially if you are in a mentoring capacity, not having a perfect run makes you such a fabulous mentor. Because I know for me, I'm going to have a client that probably one day is going to say, hey, I am so paranoid about having a workshop where no one turns up. And I'll be like, oh, babe, I've got you. I've experienced that. And I'm here to tell you that that's fine. And look at me, I've got a thriving business, you know? So what we can think about here is we like get clear on where you're going and what this looks like, right? If you don't know that, I do have an offer. I will link it below. Who are you becoming? But get clear on where you are going and what this looks like. And this is where whatever is kind of fucking with your vibe, with your aura, whatever it is, know that this is meant to be there on that path, okay? This is not just something that's fucking up your day. It's not like an inconvenience. This is actually part of the path. And we just have to accept it. This is where Brooke Castillo would say, 50% of your life is filled with negative emotion, and the sooner you can accept that, the happier you'll be. And I remember when I heard that, I felt a bit annoyed because I wanted to be happy all the time. And I was like, how unrealistic to expect that you are going to wake up and be happy every day. Because the problem is, if you're happy every day, you have no baseline. And it's the same in business. So whatever you are truly bothered about, know that this is happening. So the good feels really, really good. And then what you will start to do is, even from the start of this episode to now, I am hoping that you are feeling a little less bothered, okay? And this will become a really quick process. So when I feel like I'm bothered by things, I will go through this process. So let's have another example. Dating. I sometimes am really bothered by my relationship status. I'm like, I want to be married. I want my first husband. This is fucking annoying. Like, where is he? Kind of like Charlotte from Sex and the City. I'm like, where is he? And I get really bothered by this. So what I do is I go to both ends of a spectrum. Okay, cool. What would it look like to be in a relationship? It's amazing. What would it look like to be in a relationship? It's terrible. What would it look like to be single and super happy versus unhappy? Okay. And I run all of these scenarios. Then I do a spite story. And I'm like, you know what? One day I am going to be in a relationship and I'm probably going to have men that come back and be like, wow, I really fucked up. And I'll be like, haha, yeah, you did. Or I will probably walk past people on the street who they're like, wow, it's my dream girl. And I just don't have the balls to talk to her. And I'll be like, well, that's on you because I want a guy and he's masculine that's going to come up and approach me. And then what I do is I think about where I'm going. You know what? One day I will be married. Or if not, I'm going to have an incredible life. If someone is here, if someone is not, it is not going to mean that I'm going to have a terrible life. I'm going to have a fucking amazing life. Okay? Let's have another example. Let's pretend that I really want to work with a client and I want them to join something and they don't. They go to my competitor. Fuck, that stings. I look at both ends of a spectrum. Imagine if they came to me and they're a terrible client, because I think sometimes we assume that the thing that we're missing out on is going to be, it's like we're actually missing out on something and it's going to be better if we had it. That's not always the case. That client could be a nightmare. So I imagine all the scenarios. What if they were awful? What if they did a chargeback and a refund request? What if they stole my IP? Or what if they were the best client? How good is this? Like, I run the scenarios, I visualize everything. Then I do a spite story and I'll be like, well, you know what? They're probably going to be ready to work with me and my price is going to be double. And this is going to be a really costly mistake. It's going to be costly with money and costly with time because they should have worked with me first because I'm fucking amazing. Of course I am. I'm Peter. I'm the professional babe. Then what I do, I think about where I'm going. I think about the businesses I'm going to impact. I think about, everything that I'm going to do, how incredible it's going to be, how awesome I am, all the clients that I'm going to impact, like everything. And then, I feel good. I'm unbothered. And I get on with my fucking day. And if this feels simple, it's meant to be simple because it's meant to be something that you can just go through this process. It's not something where you need to be like, I need to have half a fucking day off and fill my journal and I need to just meditate and I need to tap and draw a card and like, no. That's indulgent. You know what? We just have to be an unbothered queen because when you are truly as good as you are and you are incredible, the worst thing that you can do is stay in this state of fuckery, which prevents you from moving forward to this incredible endpoint, which prevents you from doing amazing things and everything that you are here to do, everyone that you are here to serve, okay? So your task for this week is be unbothered, queen. Be unbothered. Be unbothered. Be fabulous. I love this. I love you. I love you more than how great I look at the moment. I think I'm ovulating this week. And I just look amazing. I've got in this like little brown slip dress. It was so cheap. It was from Sports Girl. I think it was like $24.95 on sale. We love that. I've just got some stilettos. And I'm just trotting around the office. I've already had 4 people compliment my outfit this morning, which is a lot considering I've been in this little room for like 90% of the time that I've been at work. So we love a compliment. We love an outfit. We love a cheap dress. I feel like I just gave you a lot then and there. What else do I love you more than? I love you more than every time we come into work, we have these like little caramel sweeties on the front desk. So I love you more than that. We love free candy and we love when it's readily available. I love you more than my hair. My hair looks so good. It's so funny because it's so much shorter. I used to have really long hair. It was down to my belly button and I feel like my hair held a bit of my identity. I get so many compliments on my hair now because everyone's like, God, it sits really good. It's really nice. And it just, it looks good. It looks good. It's got movement. It's doing things. It's highlighting the girls nicely. It's not hiding them. It's like framing them. And my boobs look immaculate. So I love you just as much as them. One of my best assets. Anyway, hot stuff. Have the best day. Have the day that you deserve. Have the week that you deserve. Go get your cash. Go get your money. Go get your compliments. And go forth and be awesome.